We are happy to present today a screencastify video of the Walter T. Bergen Middle School schedule. On behalf of myself, Dr. Nicosia, Mr. Deeb, and Ms. Lehman, we put together this video as a complement to last night's Board of Education presentation for either families that weren't able to attend or couldn't hear via the streaming platform due to technical issues. To begin, we looked at the historical background and limitations of the current model being used at Walter T. Historical evidence showed that for the last 10 years, Walter T. Bergen has utilized the same scheduling model while also working behind the scenes to see if a different schedule model that better meets the needs of our 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders could be used. Our review of the current model showed that it's a blend of an elementary focus and more of an elementary style model, with certain teachers teaching across subject areas, across grade levels, and not being specifically specified to one single subject area. Our review showed that elective course offerings and related arts offerings are limited to students. And it also showed that there was a lack of common planning time existing between grade levels and subject areas. When we say a common planning time, we define that as meaning if two teachers are teaching sixth grade, they have time built into the schedule where they could meet with other sixth grade teachers to kind of plan across the sixth grade level. When we say subject area planning time, we mean math teachers, for example, have time to meet as a math department to meet talk about math curricular from a fifth to eighth grade level. Our review of the current model show that that really isn't feasible. So with that, we started planning for a new model. Again, this work was not completed in a month or the last 2 months, but rather it began in the fall, and as I shared previously, has actually been undergoing for about the past decade. So the significant work that took place this year began in the fall and accelerated as we went through the budget cycle, because a major portion of the schedule is funding through the budget. So to coincide with the budget planning process, a new model was made a priority by both the district administration and the Board of Education, specifically the Board of Education's Finance Committee. We utilized a needs survey at the middle school among our staff and our students and conducted an in-depth observation by the administration to see the following areas of fiscal need. We knew we needed to increase a middle school mathematics teacher. We knew we had to increase and budget for an increase of a middle school social studies teacher. And finally, we knew we had to look at a restructuring of a current teaching position to shift it to become a technology teacher. The new teaching positions and restructuring were included in the Board of Education budget that was preliminarily approved in March and finally approved at the beginning of May. Again, this allowed us to kind of look at by a team of dedicated middle school teachers that provided input into various parts of the schedule. And we're very grateful as an administration, we drafted the general outline, but then a scheduling team of teachers really took over to provide input into the final details. We're proud to say the product we're able to produce really will allow us to meet all students' needs. So to give a general overview of the new model from a school-wide focus, we're now able to establish 4 true grade level teams. So that means that teachers teaching 5th grade are only teaching 5th grade. Same for 6th grade are only teaching 6th grade, and so on for 7th and 8th. We're able to maintain the 3 related arts courses, so an art, a technology, and a world language. Of note, I know a lot of students are used to the term computers being used. We're going to be shifting it to the technology term and kind of talk a little bit more about that later on in terms of future possibilities for the schedule. It allows for both grade level planning, departmental planning, and vertical subject specific articulation. So now with only the teachers teaching one grade level and one subject area, it allows for the schedule to have common planning time both with the grade level peers and department peers. And then finally, as I just mentioned, it establishes a common prep period for all grade levels to teach daily so they can both discuss students who may be struggling and put interventions in place, and also plan cross-curricular activities across that subject area. Looking at the new model from an inside the classroom look, it allows for more project-based learning and exploratory learning to take place. We're anticipating right now the schedule to be 1-hour blocks, which provides a significant amount of time for, like I said, project-based learning and exploration, but it also provides significant time for hands-on learning and group collaboration. Further, it allows for time in each period for a direct instruction, a guided practice opportunity, exploration about regarding that instruction, and most important, assessment to see how our students are grasping the goals and objectives for that day. It also, some parts that we're proud about is that it adds a period into the day for social, emotional learning and growth. Ms. Millward at our middle school, our counselor, will be providing significant opportunities for our staff running these social emotional periods to kind of do work that really allows our students to kind of find themselves and grow social emotionally. We view this as a very important addition, also coming off the COVID-19 pandemic. And of that same tone, on that same note, one of the most important features of the schedule also adds an academic advisory period outside the classroom setting for teachers to kind of work with students on putting interventions in place, providing enrichment work, and making sure their overall needs are met. The final 2 points that I mentioned are very important to us as we return to a normal school year next year following the pandemic, and to make sure that our students are having both their social emotional needs met and additional time built into the schedule for academic assistance should anybody struggle. This could also be a time as we go forward where enrichment work could take place for our students who are performing above grade level as well. So dealing with the grade 5 to 8 scheduling structure, again, we're utilizing a school within a school model for grade 5. We recognize that grade 5 students have different social emotional needs and academic needs than our 8th grade students. So grade 5 is going to operate on a little different schedule where they're going to use a departmentalized model with 3 teachers in that grade level, where one teacher teaching mathematics, one teacher teaching language arts, and another teaching science and social studies, and a writing component, which will allow us to kind of bring writing outside just language arts but across science and social studies and mathematics is appropriate as well. In grades 6, 7, 8, we're using like true middle school teaming philosophy. So there'll be one dedicated teacher in each grade for math, science, social studies, and language arts. And those teachers will, as I said prior, will only teach in that grade level. They'll follow a consistent bell schedule, which has each period being approximately 60 minutes to allow for consistency among all subject areas. Like we mentioned prior, it allows for common planning time for teachers, a common lunch for both those teachers and the students, where we anticipate about half hour of that is going to be spent for lunch. The other half hour could be spent for grade-wide academic assistance, which we at the beginning of the year as teachers and administrators will guide. And again, another advantage of this structure is that teachers will teach one subject level all day, which really will allow them to be experts in that area compared to teaching multiple grade levels and possibly different subjects per day. A needs assessment that we conducted prior showed that teachers often were teaching 2 different subject areas, and in some cases teaching 3 different subject areas in any day, which really truly didn't allow them to be experts in one area. So that's alleviated through the new model. What we're also very excited about, and a big thank you to our teachers that served on our scheduling committee, is how we're going to run related arts courses next year. So students will meet the state requirement to receive 150 minutes of gym and health instruction per week. We anticipate that physical education and health returning to the same instructional style that it had prior pandemic. All students will receive 150 minutes of related arts instruction per week, either being made up on a trimester basis of world language, arts, or technology, where students will cycle through those courses. Students in 6 to 8 will attend those classes on what we're going to call an ABC AB schedule, where one day you might have, for example, world language on day A, and maybe day B, you'll have an art class, where each one is 60 minutes in length, providing a significant amount of time for both world language, art, and technology instruction. And the other day, you would have physical education. We're using the C day to kind of provide a 2 half-hour blocks to making sure we're bringing consistency among our physical education and elective courses, and so the middle of the week can be split into 2 30-minute blocks for students to see those teachers. Students in grade 5 will attend those classes on the same schedule as 6, 7, and 8, but with an additional 30-minute rotating pull-up period on that C day that will either be a band class or general music. For band for grades 6, 7, 8, it will continue in a similar style that it has now with a lesson schedule, as well as introducing the idea of more large group rehearsals that Ms. Lehman's working on. All students in grades 5 to 8, like I said, will continue to have band as an optional course and pulling out for lessons. The final part of this presentation looks for the future and where we plan to go after implementing this model in September. As I mentioned earlier, one of the items we're most proud about is that this model now gives us a solid foundation to continue to build upon for years to come. Areas that we can are planning to make targets in future budgets and future expansion include really looking at our cycle courses and expanding student choice. We like to expand into the more possible courses in technology, possible courses into music, expanded band offerings such as ukulele and guitar ensembles, dance and performing arts classes, looking at our technology course and how we could expand more into engineering and STEM courses, looking at introducing robotics more than we plan to in our technology section already, and then really looking at what we're doing in our art classes and shifting towards more of a graphic design or academic based electives as well. We also plan in 2 other areas to continue to build upon that advisory work and advisory period we're starting next year and really look at a true advisory program that we could expand fifth through eighth grade and working on the differences and strengths between the fifth graders and eighth graders and creating possible partnerships. And finally, we look to expand the social emotional learning program as well that we have in place in our school, how we're meeting our students' social emotional needs, and especially those that are particular to middle school students, both on the social emotional end and again on the academic end as well. But like I mentioned earlier, one of the solid parts of this new plan is it gives us a foundation to build on as we move forward in the future. Thank you for taking time to listen today. And as always, if you have any questions, you could reach out to Mr. Deeb, our middle school principal, or myself. Thank you.